God does care about justice. It says that justice flows from his throne. Our God is just. When I think about justice, I first think about, like, I can take the 10 Commandments and I can look at the first 3 or 4 commandments that talk about, how do I have a right relationship with God? And then I can take the rest of the commandments and I can look at, how do I walk rightly with my neighbor? How does the Lord command that I treat my neighbor, be that my parents or those who are in my home, the person who I live next door to, someone in my community? Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not, lie or bear false witness. I can go into the book of Leviticus or into some of the law and look at how God instructs us to treat others. There is going to be an equal treatment and an equal law applied to all people. And so that is what justice is. It is the fair and equitable treatment of another human. And I am not referring to equity in the sense of our current social justice ideology conversation of equity. I am talking about equity in being the equal treatment of others. And so I'm not going to prefer one over the other. I'm not going to mistreat someone based on skin color. I'm not going to mistreat someone based on how much money they have in their pockets or their socioeconomic status. We see this in the book of James, that we should not, when people come into church, we shouldn't favor the rich over the poor. Are we making sure that foreigners and widows, when they come into law courts, are not pushed to the side and their cases aren't heard? When someone, comes in for a job interview, if I'm interviewing all the candidates, I am not going to prefer this candidate or this group of candidates based on their ethnic background solely. I'm not going to simply prefer one candidate simply because they're a minority, or I'm not going to prefer one candidate simply because they're not a minority. What I'm going to do is I'm going to equally weigh out their skill set, their experience, their qualifications, and I'll make a right decision based on those things, not simply based on someone's skin color. Some might say that, well, minorities haven't had the same opportunities as white people, and so they need to have, a special push up. This has come to be known as affirmative action. And when we think about the history, yes, Blacks especially have been kept out of universities, have been kept out of seminaries. And, there was a time in our country where these things were legal and written on our law books, but that isn't the case anymore. It would be illegal to say you cannot attend here because of the color of your skin. Now, can there be an off-the-book system that can keep a Black person or any person out of a school? Sure, there can be that. I think a couple of years ago, we saw the whole situation with Asian Americans at Ivy League schools not being let in. Yes, there can be systems, but today, I would say that people would be hard-pressed to show that African Americans are being kept back or being held back. It's actually the exact opposite. Black women are graduating with advanced degrees at accelerating rates. Black men, much the same. Black women actually outweigh or outnumber Black men in advanced degrees. And so the idea that, Black people need this hand up because of slavery, or Black people need this hand up because of Jim Crow, I would say actually isn't true. Black people in America are the fastest growing middle class in our country. Black people are getting educations, they are starting businesses, they are working in prominent positions. And so the idea that we still need to receive this hand up as opposed to playing by a level field of meritocracy, I would say is not true. It's not true that the playing fields aren't level. And in places where they may not be level, I would ask other questions. Is there maybe a reason why Blacks aren't in accounting and economics the way that we may see whites? Or is there a reason why we don't see the same amount of Black Olympic swimmers that we see as whites? One of the things that I would encourage people to understand is that not every disparity is automatically an injustice. Sometimes disparities happen because of people's choices. I also would ask the question, and this one is going to be controversial, but what is happening within the culture that also prevents or creates spaces where minorities may not choose certain things. If your culture is more concerned or is participating more with the music and nefarious activities than they are with scholastics or education, you're not going to see the same outcome.